Hey guys, welcome to my channel. I make videos on Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Sundays, and in today's video I am going to be talking about my top 5 worst books that I've ever read. Alright, so the first worst book I've read was Interment by Samira Ahmed. I hated this book. So Interment is about this girl who is Muslim, and she's Desi, and she lives in America. And it's about a near future American society where there are neo-Nazis that take over, and they force Muslims to internment camps. And it is a really good premise. I fell in love with the premise. I thought that was like such an amazing idea, because I thought, like, one, it doesn't feel that unrealistic. I think that it's a great take and an analysis on American culture, American politics, and really like looking at how can this happen politically in our own nation. But I just don't think the story was handled well. I don't think that Samira Ahmed did a really good job of making the story feel believable. There's a lot of points here where I feel like she completely weakened the plot, and I think that there becomes a focus on things that are not actually important to the story that she was trying to tell, or the story that I think would have been a better story to tell. I think the story was supposed to be about showcasing the hypocrisy and the severe imbalances and weaknesses in the American political system. And I don't think that the book did a great job of that. I think it was also supposed to be talking about, the racial divide and how that has an influence in the politics of religious persecution, and I think that it was also supposed to be heavily focusing on the story of this girl and her family and what the experience is like being completely ripped away from your surroundings. And I just don't think she did that great. I just don't think she did it that great. There's a huge focus on the relationship between the main character and her boyfriend, and I obviously think, like, as a teen girl you're gonna be focusing on your boyfriend, but the way that she was just completely consumed with trying to get into communication with him when her family was literally in an internment camp just blew my mind. Like, I just don't think that was very realistic, and the extremes that they went to see each other, to not get anything done. Like, it was just to be like, oh, let's see each other. Like, I don't, and the risks, that's like the fact that she put her family at such risk for such stupid things. I think that was like not very realistic. I think that the premise is very realistic. I just don't think the story that Samira Ahmed wrote is actually realistic, and I don't think that it's believable by any means. There is like a huge white savior complex in the book. This is supposed to be a very serious topic, and we're supposed to be talking about how this would actually happen, and I just don't believe that it would happen in that way. And I think that this could have been a classic. I think that this could have completely changed the way that we framed our American society to an extent, and I think that it fell completely short. And it saddens me. The next book is Revived by Kat Patrick. So this book was about this girl who was in a huge bus accident, and she actually died, and she's been revived. I think she's revived 7 times. Reeled me in. Like, the first few pages is her getting revived again from after dying, right? Which is kind of interesting. Like, what happens when someone is revived from death, right? And why they're revived from death, and what does that do to you, and what does that do to the people around you? So that was such a fascinating concept to me. But in practice, like, the book was not great. Like, I think that there was a very obvious plot twist. I think that the writer definitely took a cop out. Like, they could have written a really amazing story, and instead of writing a really amazing story, Kat Patrick kind of just was like, yeah, okay, I guess I can just copy this and just do this, and the story completely falls apart midway through, and I just really didn't like how it went down. I feel like midway through, everything that we know about the character completely changes, and they start acting out of character. And I think that if your character is going to eventually fall apart, you need to leave some breadcrumbs for that, and I just don't think that Kat Patrick left those those breadcrumbs. The next book is This Is Where the World Ends by Amy Zhang, and this book is about these two characters and their friendship, and they're kind of like, you know, mischievous. Well, it's really about the one guy and his relationship with this girl, and she's kind of the one that's like always getting them into trouble or in like dangerous situations. And I just feel like I didn't like this book because it was extremely manipulative. Like, the other character was so manipulative, and we're supposed to believe that the main character is the one, you know, that's messing up at being a friend, when it's really the other character is like extremely manipulative. Like, she's gaslighting him the entire time, and she's not being like a reasonable person. And I think that like I have a really big problem with the way that this book handles suicide, because like trigger warning, like there's suicide in the book, and like I guess like spoiler alert, she kills herself at the end of the book, and it felt like it came out of nowhere, and it also felt like she did that to spite her friend, which made me like very angry, because I just felt like it just was a very unreasonable like plot. I also don't think that people should use suicide as plot twists. I think that suicide is like very serious. I just think that this book didn't handle it as seriously as it should have been. Next book is The Love and Lies of Rosanna Ali by Sabina Khan. So The Love and Lies of Rosanna Ali is a story about this girl who is Bengali, and she's 17, and she lives in the United States. She is also a lesbian, and it's about her parents finding out about her relationship with her girlfriend. And I have lots of problems with this book. So I think that this book is realistic up until the point where she goes back home, and then the characters act completely different, and I don't understand it. I have a huge problem with the fact that her parents manipulated her, tried to marry her off, and the fact that they did, you know, conversion therapy onto her. They did all of these things to her, and then in the end it was supposed to be like, no, we all changed, like let's just get over it, like it's fine, you know, I'm gonna just forgive them. And everybody in her life is telling her to forgive her parents, and nobody in her life is being like, no, this is illegal, this is ridiculous, this is wrong, and they need to be held accountable for their actions. Like, no adults are like, no one in her life is like, yeah, no, the situation was like very far, and like we need to do something to protect you. The overarching message was like, you know, forgive your parents. And I'm like, no, like I was like, they did all that to her, like she could never forgive them for the rest of her life. And like, honestly, like, how can you be mad at her for that? Like, her own parents did this to her. And I think that like that's where the story gets unrealistic to me, because this is a great story at showcasing, you know, what actually does happen to people. But like the idea that after you had to escape by going to the embassy, and then things are going to just magically be better after you guys are mad for a few weeks, like, absolutely not. And your parents are going to magically be accepting after trying to marry you off. Like, it's unbelievable. It's ridiculous. I don't understand why there were, you know, social workers involved. I don't understand why there wasn't a case on the parents. Like, I don't understand, like, how could the system fail this girl so much? How could everybody around her fail her so much? And it just made me so upset, because I don't know. Maybe this is the reality, but like that angered me. So I don't like the book because of that. I just think it was so problematic. And I also don't like the girlfriend a lot. I think that she handled the situation like ridiculously. Like, your girlfriend is in another country. I don't know. It was just like the girlfriend was only worried about herself, when there were a lot of alarm bells that should have been ringing in her head about the safety of her girlfriend, based on their conversations, and then based on the lack of communication they were also having. So I don't know. I had lots of issues with it. Let me know what you guys think. The next book that is on my list is Kindred by Octavia E. Butler. So I know I'm going to get dragged for this, but I don't care, because I don't like this book. So Kindred is the story of this woman who, you know, she lives like in like modern times in modern America, and she's transported to slave times, right? Great plot. I guess there's a running theme, like, I'm upset with these books because they had such great plots and the writing was terrible. That's the issue here. So I think that this book was interesting because the concept is something that I find myself thinking about, like how would I have responded, and you know, and being put in that situation. And this gives you a very real attempt to analyze that and to focus on what that experience would be like. But I just don't think the book does a very good job of that. Like, I don't think that for one time I believe that this actually like was happening. Like, it wasn't a fever dream for her. Like, I don't at one point believe that this is how she would have responded in all of these situations. And I don't think that Octavia E. Butler raises the stakes high enough, because in my mind I'm like, okay, well, what's gonna happen to her? Like, if she gets killed, like, is she actually gonna die here? Like, she's not from this universe. Like, there was no science system, like there was no sci-fi system or magic system that made sense. Like, it was an illogical like system, and that's why I just couldn't get on board with it. I think that the book had so much potential to hit the realities and the closeness, the interconnectedness of slavery, and the proximity to slavery that modern women, modern Black women, you know, actually like have, like how close proximity actually is. But like, it doesn't happen though. Like, it just doesn't. And she just kind of like, I think for me, the lack of questioning of the position and the role is what just doesn't feel realistic to me. Like, she just doesn't like question like, oh my god, like I am a slave now. Like, that just never happened. She just kind of like, well, I guess I'm a slave now, and I guess I'm just gonna go pick up his stuff. No ma'am, no ma'am, no ma'am, no ma'am, no ma'am, no ham, no bam, no turkey. You have to raise the stakes. Like, okay, if she had gotten like in some trouble for not doing something, okay, fine, you know what I mean? Like, I would have been like, all right, I see, but she just kind of always just, you know, asserts herself to the role. There's no moment where she's like, oh my god, I can't believe I'm here. There's no resistance. Like, I just can't believe that like a modern woman that has never ever been in a position like this would just so seemingly easily, you know, assert herself into that position without any stakes. And so that's why I like don't believe it. I also hate how the book ends. I think that it's like so stupid. Like, I don't get how the entire thing was basically about incestual rape. I think that, or incestuous rape. I think that like there were so many other directions it could have gone in, or like that could have been brought in and illustrated a little bit, like, you know, earlier. I just think that the whole thing just doesn't make any sense. Like, the whole thing just didn't make much sense for me. How is nobody else realizing that she's just like, you know, missing for these long bouts of time? I don't think it makes sense that her husband was able to travel with her. Like, that just wasn't logical for me. I just couldn't wrap my mind around it. And the thing is, like, that's bad writing. Like, that's not good writing. Like, I should be able to believe in the magic system or the sci-fi elements that you're creating. Like, that's the point. Like, obviously, like, this is not real, but you should be able to make a system to where I can believe in it. And like, I just don't think that, you know, happened. I also think that like her husband was incredibly insensitive, because he was so caught up in his own experience, even though he begged and fought to get there, that the whole thing, like, ridiculous, where he made the entire thing about him. It was sick. I also think that like the main character had a lot of internalized, you know, racism, and she had a lot of like just, you know, issues that I don't think are like really addressed. I don't think that they were intended to be that way, honestly. I don't think she was written that way. I don't know if it was particularly like on purpose that she was written to have these issues. I don't know. I thought it was cop out. I think the end was horrible. Like, I don't know. Like, I didn't read the book and think, oh my god, this was amazing. I thought like, wow, I really spent my time reading that. Like, I should have DNF'd this. So I didn't like it personally. I thought it was a terrible book. I think that it had a great plot. Almost all of these books had great plots. The only one that has like the worst plot is This Is Where the World Ends by Amy Zhang. But I should have known that was just a bad book. Like, fine, okay. But the rest of them had great plots. And it was just like these either like very problematic aspects of them that ruined it, or like the writing just like ruined an amazing premise. So those are all of my books, my top 5 worst books of all time. I hope you guys like this video. Let me know your feelings and your opinions below. I keep it respectful. Like, I already know people love some of these books. I do, I understand, but I feel like I made some, you know, some really valid points about the books. So let's have an, you know, an intellectual and respectful discussion, not only with me, but, you know, with everybody in the comments. And I hope you guys like this video. Don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe to my channel, and I will see you in the next video. Bye, guys.